Okay. Okay, with that said, then Scott, you've got our first question.
Question number one. Tell us a little about yourself and any past local government experience you may have.
Read about myself. Well, I put a kind of a short little synopsis together about myself personally, or my business experience, or just in general.
Just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I think in my resume, I worked for Phoenix Fire for 30 years in a variety of different positions. I got to work at Special Ops for the last probably 9 years of my career, in just basically position managing training for Special Ops, hazmat specifically, and managing equipment. We took turns, so I did a year of training, then a year of equipment management, and then switched to something. And got to learn a lot there. Got to do a lot of grants. That was right during when we were putting 3 Uwasi trucks together. So those were quite extensive to put together. Not just managing the equipment, but I mean labeling, inventory, everything. You know, that's government money, so we had to kind of really keep track of it. Very exciting. Worked in other positions in the fire service, but retired in 2010, and I was offered a job helping salespeople sell fire equipment. Basically, most of the sales kids are, I use the term kids because they're kids. They're 24 years old. They're looking for their first job, and they really don't. You probably have dealt with some of the young fire equipment salespeople that aren't up to task, so to speak. They really don't understand the job. You need hoses. You need SCBAs. Anyway, so I got to work with them and kind of because I knew taught so much in the state that they thought it was a good idea. So I did that for 11 years. I worked with the Sedona Fire, worked with Mark Rippey, with some boots and turnout stuff. And had a chance to move up here after I retired, and I took the chance. My wife has a very big family, so we had to keep the house down there. It was about 2 hours, is about as far as I was going to get her away. She wasn't going to Boise. She wasn't going to wherever. You know, 2 hours about, and I love to ride my bike, and I love to hike. So what better place can I come to? So and I could still do the sales work for 11 years. And that required going to the district board meetings, going to FDIC, you know, going to firehouse shows, a little bit of travel, but after 11 years, I was ready to kind of hang out. So with that said, this came along, and I was offered it 5 years ago. I was going to run with Eugene, and that was a good opportunity for me.
Before we go to the next question, folks on this side of the board side of the table are the board members. You know, the fire chief,
Yes.
and Captain Tarver is field captain,
Mhm.
but he is also representing labor today.
Okay.
He's our chapter VP.
Yeah. So just so you know, who knows.
The players.
Okay. Janet.
Okay. Are you a resident within Sedona Fire District? And if so, how?
Resident in West Sedona for, I think I said 5 years on my thing, but it's probably more like 7 years.
So what is your understanding of Arizona's open meeting and public records laws?
Probably my own experience with that would be with the union. Going to union meetings and working with the union. That's a total understanding. I know there's a class that needs to be taken, SB 1387, something like that, that everybody has to take to understand those laws and ethics. And so no, not very aware of too much of it except for all the union meetings. I had to work with a lot of union to put together some safety procedures for the special operations for Phoenix. And you know, just for hazmat entry, I work with the union very hard to make sure that safety is a big issue over the hazmat.
Thank you.
But thank you're welcome. But the union every time we have union meetings, they have to run the same.
Okay. What's your experience with budgeting and finance as it pertains to special taxing districts?
Nothing with taxing districts, but a lot with the fire department. As I said, I was fortunate enough to work right when big grants were coming in and putting 3D WASI trucks into service. The boss I worked for, the chief I worked for, Ron Jameson, people are familiar with Ron, but he was a grant master. And then we also had a civilian employee for Phoenix that would go and get these grants. And so we had whiteboards, 3 of them that big, that we were trying to track the grant spending. And so I'm pretty familiar with that. Now, I was more familiar with spending it and spending it properly, because when the grants first came out, they were pretty wide open. And then as it got along, the next year they would get a little stricter, next year a little stricter. You know, what are you actually buying? You know, with tools, that's pretty open. We had to be very specific on what tools we're buying. And I've been audited by the feds. That wasn't fun. That wasn't fun.
All right. Pardon me. How will your background assist you with understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services?
Well, I pretty much think my career answers that question, to be honest with you. I do. I just got, I understand. And then I think also it helped that I did 11 years working around the state, going to smaller parties, going to districts. I didn't guess there was 140 districts.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you're here in the city, but it was great to go out and work with the districts, work with the smaller fire departments. We were the big red. Everybody looked up to us, but it was great to go out and work with. I think I've worked with everybody, Cottonwood, Aaron, Scott. I was part of that deal. I can take you around the whole state, but I'm not going to worry about that. But I pretty much understand how the fire service works. If that's the question.
Absolutely.
What is your role as it pertains to labor issues and Sedona Fire District?
What's my role? Well, I personally think.
What would be your role?
Yeah, I think it would be to not be involved in any day-to-day, that's your job. My job is probably to listen, and then if you're going to bring it together to the board, work as a team with the board and say, hey, there's an issue here, then we should look at it too.
Scott, you got number 7.
Be willing to commit additional time when needed and or provide a willingness to participate.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I think the more you are involved, whether you're union, whether you're sworn, whether you're district, board, I think you should be involved. The community is looking at you, not to you.
Yeah.
You have been contacted by the local news media or a member of our community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
Say that one more time.
Okay, sure. You have been contacted by the local news media or a member of our community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
Well, I wouldn't respond immediately. I mean, I'd want to take that issue. What's your issue? Okay, I got it. Let me take it to the proper channels. And we will get an answer back to you. Because I don't know the actual issue. Does it need to be the board's issue? Is it the union issue? Is it, usually it's probably a community complaint. And that needs to be addressed.
So, yeah, the governing board consists of 5 members. what do you perceive is the decision-making process? And what are your group consensus skills?
Well, I worked with, for 30 years with a lot of men and women, and we had to make things work. Right? I came from a department, you must admit, I know, that we colored outside the boxes sometimes. But that's okay, we learn from doing that. Sometimes if you try things, they don't work, that group has to get back together and go, why didn't it work? How are we gonna make this work? Right? Or do we even want it to work? We've done that before. So I think that just putting your heads together, figuring out what the problem is, that's the teamwork that I would think the board needs to do. And not be part of micromanaging. I know that's not it. That's not it. And it seems like Sedona Fire District, from my 5,000 foot view, or 500 foot view, is running very, very smoothly. And that's probably all due to the board.
All right.
Kim.
Got it.
The final question we have for you is, do you have any conflicts of interest? Or is there an absence of conflicts of interest?
There is an absence, yeah. I have no, my only conflict would be my wife's family. No, I quit the sales position, which I learned doing now. I'm so glad I did it. But 10 years and 11 years of doing that. They wanted me to do more. I want to do less. There's a bunch of trails out there.
Okay, well, that's the 10 questions we had for you. And I just want to give you an opportunity to either add something that maybe you forgot or weren't clear on, or it's just something that.
I'm not even sure I'm the right candidate, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I know I wasn't going to run for a school board. I can tell you that. I know I wasn't going to run for HOA. So this is all I have. No, I don't know. I love it. I still love going to fire stations and hanging, with the guys and gals. I really do. It's just, telling stories. I can tell my war stories. So I really like that. I miss it even in the sales and going into fire stations. Now I go into my fire station, that's different. Because I walk down there and I look around and go, oh, I worked with your dad. Yeah, I worked with your uncle. Okay. And I'm talking about baby faces. Oh, I don't know, just a great opportunity to do things, to be involved. I'm like, she asked a question about teamwork and how you resolve problems. I think I'm pretty good at listening. I think that's kind of a key ingredient in everything. And listen, I do have quite a few friends that are retired, or some are still on, that are on districts, boards. So they do feel like if I have a dilemma, I guess, I could pick up the phone and have some mentors that I can call.
As long as it's not Brian Moore.
Guess who I was going to? I talked to Brian.
I'm just kidding. He's good.
He's in Vegas at the hazmat. No relation, by the way. Nor to Joe Moore. Nor to.
Well, that concludes the interview. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come down and answer the best that you could. And we've got notes that everybody took down, and we'll add things up. And we probably should have a good idea by the end of the day. But by all means, what are we looking at for notification? Sometime in the next couple of days. Well, we saw.
Yeah, I mean, once the tallies, I could do tallies this after, well, first thing in the morning, and then I can notify by tomorrow afternoon.
So I sincerely hope you guys get the best candidate. If I'm not, get the better one. I mean that sincerely.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate
I was a
that.
brotherhood for a long time.
No, we appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for stepping in, because over the past couple of decades, it's been difficult, and to have multiple people interested in helping be a part of this district is a big deal to me. And so I appreciate you taking time out, because you could just be hitting your bike and hitting the trails.
Yeah, I met you and Cole up at one of the districts.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I've met you a few times in the parking lot, slinging wares and everything, so we appreciate you, and this isn't the only vacancy that will be with our board in the next couple of years, so there's lots of opportunity.
And on final note, I just hope and pray that Gene gets better.
Give him a buzz. He'd probably love to hear from you if you haven't done it already. So,
I have not. I wanted to wait till after this.
Yeah.
And you know, he was actually the one that approached me 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he's coming along slowly but surely, but give him a call.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. All right.
All right. But thank you very
Thanks,
much.
sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Nice to
Thanks
meet you.
again. Yeah, good seeing you.
Thanks,
Scott,
Don.
Jane,
Janet, yes.
Janet,
Nice to meet you.
or Helen, and troublemakers, right? Perfect.
Okay. Well, that was. Reporting or.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we got our score sheets before us, scale of 1 to 10, you know. To figure out how they did with 10 being the best.
Do these one at a time,
Pardon me?
one at a time, or just one?
No, we're just
Bundle them?
file away and then at the end of the day, we'll compile them all together, but. I mean,
If we mirror our internal processes for promotion and hiring, we each independently tabulate our scores, and then generally if there's a variance of more than a point, then we have a discussion. So in question 1, you're a 4 and she's a 10. What did you hear that I did?
Yes.
You know,
Why, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and tabulate our scores and then.
Yeah, so we are doing that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have, it's only like 12 after, so it's got plenty of time. I got plenty of time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
On number 2, I mean, he answered 7 years. Are you looking for more?
yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, you
That's
know,
a closed off question. You know what I mean? Like,
he was to the point and it was either 5 to 7 years was that based on this order he said. He said 7.
Seven.
He
So-
said 5 and then he said it probably will be 7.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is no background to that, really, you know, so if we want to look at we want to look at a 10 for that, for example, that's the maximum points because he answered it, and there isn't anywhere else you can go. Then we should consider that criteria for anybody else too.
yes, exactly. I mean, if you just say, yes, I'm a resident, it helps it out. I mean, you know what I mean? That
You know,
means-
it's like, again, I look at, yes, I've been a resident since 2003 and I was in my previous house 15 years prior to that. I don't look to move out of the area for the next 20 years. It shows me stability, it shows me commitment, it shows me that, you know, some certain things, but you know,
So
maybe 10's a
For
little.
me,
maybe
when
seven.
I hear a question like that, all you said 7 years. And in that 7 years, you know, this is what I know stone is, or, you know, I'm like,
Yeah,
there's
you can
more,
elaborate
you
a
can
little.
elaborate to what you know,
Right.
or
I-
more
I
of
see
like,
what
I've been
you're
at 7,
saying.
and in that 7 years, I know the Sonoma Fire District stands for this and this and this,
Yeah.
or.
Okay, so you think
So-
you gave two different answers.
That's what my question was to you all, because I wanted to make sure that he did answer the question, he said, yes, I'm a resident.
It
Um,
seems- I'm
but-
sorry, I was going to say, it seems to me we're at 5, you know, everybody enters as a 5. So he answered the question. It's a 5.
It's fine, it's fine.
If there's
But
a
if
Oh,
you
lot-
I see.
elaboration,
And
then you close the
Okay,
loop,
so
like
5
you
is the
said.
middle road and then you go up or down.
So I
from
think a
there.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
5
Okay,
would be a fair number for that.
okay.
You didn't do a lot of elaborating on that, so, you know, 5, and we could justify that. I think it'll be pretty darn close.
Janet, from my perspective, if this helps, I don't know. You know, the news media question, like a 5 is you answer the question with, you know, common sense. But for me, that score would dwindle if he said, well, I'm a board member, so I must answer the questions and give them and just not referencing the fact that to me, he represented the fact that he understands that there's no immediate need. He needs to filter it towards the right people. Probably call the board chair, call the chief.
Yeah, he had thought, but.
Yeah, but in the past,
Especially because that was a very open question too, so.
and a lot of my biases are because of past scars, but in the past, we had board members I would know that they talked to the media when I saw the article.
Well, I
And
had
it
a
was
news
not
person
based
call
in fact.
And 10 is the same kind of question. Do you have conflict?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, he could have, he elaborated a little bit on that, even in his opening where he worked for a sales company in the fire service. Well, that could be a conflict. He got rid of that. So you got to kind of grab it.
Yeah, of course. I just want to make sure that I'm lining up with what you guys are thinking is. And he answered that, no, I don't, and he cleared up 5 or 6 on that.
Well, like question number 4, it's like, okay, he's worked with labor, but is that more in the meet and confer or the budget and finance? Well, it could be both, working with you guys, with labor. So, but he did elaborate it on.
Yeah,
So
he
it's
did.
more than just the 5.
Right,
Well, not quite a 10 perhaps, so figure out where you want to put him, see where we're at.
That's,
And then for question number 5, I don't see the scores on the next sheet.
it's on the,
Yeah,
yeah, it's on the
it's
top of it.
So I should put, sort of put them along the lines. You're gonna add.
Oh, really?
Just on the very bottom, put a total.
There is one at the bottom.
That way it gives us a quick reference.
I don't have a
Okay.
total on the bottom.
There's gonna be math.
I was looking at this, but
Hey,
you're right.
We got total.
no, if we're adding, I would have known, I was just. Okay.
There you go.
Remember, I'm a fire captain. I mean,
Take out your phone, it should have calculator on it.
Yeah, I like my calculator. It looks cool.
These look amazing.
I'm gonna use it. Okay, this thing is blocked out because.
These aren't part of my diet plan.
Score and went, yes.
Now, there's this Don Moore, there's another Moore. Who's the other one you mentioned?
Brian,
Right.
he's the board chair for Daisy Mountain.
Oh, okay.
He's also captain with Phoenix.
We don't have to hand these in to the end, right?
Pardon me?
We don't have to hand these in to the very end?
Yeah, just hang on to the.
Okay, because I'm gonna quickly run look back before the other candidate gets here.
Sure. Oh, he's not gonna be here till 11. It's only 10.
Oh, all right.
10:30, so. You got plenty of time.
Got my own,
I
man.
got 6,700.
God.
I don't know what buttons I've been pushing.
Yeah.
And he's got access to King-Bills.
what did,
Not yet.
what did Kim order in this food?
Wait till
Where'd you
Mitch
get
gets
this
here.
Scott's eating his breakfast gummies.
Yeah, like they said in grammar school or whatever you call it, elementary school, please check your work. I forgot to do that the rest of my life. There we go. Let's do it right there.
Checked it. Brain still works.
I'm good with like 2 numbers.
No.
Anything over that.
I have one of my, what's the word? Not suspicions, but superstitions when I'm doing our interviews. Even if I give there's 10 questions and I give a candidate all 5s, I still use my calculator because it's just it's how I validate it, even though I know it's 50, I always do it the same way. I get the same thing twice. Because I just freak out about anything that, because we had some scars in the past. We had now BC Lewis, when he was hired at 19, one of our captains in the interview was like, "How old are you?" And we just all went ghost white. We're like, so we had, right afterwards, we had a
Conversation with
him, and thankfully we had HR in there, and we're like, what do we need to do? And, gosh.
So how are the BC's doing, settling in?
They're doing great. Yeah, they're kind of couple. They're good. They're finding their. One of the guys this morning, I was talking to the guys in the bay. This first day on the job, and
Thank you for
he
this.
came up and we stand with the group, and one of the guys says, "I'm sure there's something you could be doing." It's all. He's like, but it's good. I stopped by. Today's a shift change.
We got time to eat.
And a lot of times, when I'm coming into work, if it's a shift change, I come down to the station to grab a coffee is my excuse. But just to see 2 groups and, and catch up, I'd do like a little 10-minute, hey, how's everything going? I caught 2 of our newbies this morning, and Maddie was coming off shift, and then Colton was coming on the shift, and just good attitudes. Just she got herself an apartment in the village, and Colton lives off the loop roads, so they're just young and excited.
So this is, you can educate me, the process around shift change. Is there a particular protocol or process that you do?
Okay, so this is.
So 7:30 shift
26.
change. By and large, our crew members get there about 7 o'clock. At or around, change and then get their gear out,
Is there a calculator total?
coffee or tea, depending on their
We got it.
pleasure. And then, the oncoming shift goes down and takes apart the ambulance, the engine, goes through everything. And then, usually the off-going crew is washing it, so they'll help wash it, and then they transition. But, then they have a quick pass on log, hey, this is broken, or remember you got this festival to go to today, or whatnot. That's about as formal, and generally speaking, so shift change at 7:30, and then typically most PCs, all of them, at 8:30, they'll do a quick half hour meeting on Zoom with all the crew. Here's what we got going on today, anybody got anything? And catch up on stuff.
What happens when you have, at a fire station, you have an event, how you have, you have a fire, you have they're out.
What happened this morning, we had an ambulance left here at 5 to go to Phoenix. And so they'll get back here at 8. And 2 things will happen. 1, we pay a couple hours overtime, or 2, we'll call the hospital and say, hey, can we wait till 7? Do this with our crew. So it just depends on, it's fluid, there's no rule.
But if they're out, if they're actually out on a fire, something, like how do we?
Yeah, we figure it out. Yeah, perfect, yeah. They'll get on a reserve ambulance, or we'll get them in a pickup truck and take them out to relieve the crews. And more frequently, typically it's an ambulance that got caught right in that shift change. But
Yeah.
It's rare that it happens. If you're lucky, if the crews are lucky, they get a fire on the second night of the crew or after midnight, because they get to do all the fun stuff, putting the fire out, and then the oncoming crew has to come in and clean it. That's the best scenario, because then you say, here you go, and that's how I met Bruce, is that
Bruce.
fire we had.
He tried.
So we want to run through these things.
Oh, yeah.
all with
Some
some
of
other.
them are-
Total scores, if it's
Yeah.
crazy amount.
Yeah, let's take a look at the totals. Go through it.
I'm at 70.
Real big.
Well, I'm at 60.
You're at 60?
Yeah.
I'm 61.
What are you at? 680?
I told you, 700,000. 58.
All right.
Okay, so we went from 58.
Where you at?
66, I'm at 73, so that one's high so far. Just waiting for Janet.
Well, if I did it right, I'm at 76.
Okay, so 76. All right, so we got from 76 to 60, I believe was the low,
60, 58.
or 58.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's take, that's kind of a broad span. Let's see if we could deal that in at probably an average that would be about 65-ish, you know? If we look at questions 1, I did use every walk in and gets a 5 and kind of adjust.
I gave him 7.
Okay, I got a 7.
I'm at 7.
Okay, so. Are you good on 7 with question number 1, Janet?
I had an 8.
Okay. All right. Number 2, we're looking at a 5.
I had a 5.
Had a 5.
I'll go to 5. I mean, it's hard to score.
It's a very big question. That's why I was asking. I don't know. He answered it, but we both for more input. I don't know. That's why I asked.
I'll go to 5.
I did
Question number 3, I'm at a 6.
7.
5.
8.
Wait, on 3?
Question 3, yeah.
Yeah.
The roll was 3. Who said 3?
I had the high, I had 8.
8. Okay, so
So
Mine was low.
4.
Yeah.
All right.
what I got out of that is he experienced with the union labor. And he does understand that there's a class needed for the position. And outside of that, he didn't really have the understanding of the open meeting laws, in my opinion. That's
Right.
I'm marking it. Although he answered it, I did go with a 7 on that.
Mhm.
See, and I thought for somebody off the street, well, he wasn't off the street, he was Phoenix, but
Yeah.
And he did, he saved that one for me with that he understands union meetings still
Right.
follow the same.
right, so that's why I gave it an 8, because he has,
So we have to remember that these candidates who are applying for this position should have done a little bit of due diligence and done a little background reading as far as what we do. So if they're vague to a point where, did you even look at the, website or talk to a chief or firefighter or whatever? So if the average here was, like the high was 8, like we heard, and the low was
4, right? Is that what you had?
4.
I don't mind bumping
You
it
guys-
up.
Come up a bit, come down a bit on that,
I
Janet?
can come down a little.
Yeah, and I think he's got the understanding of it, what it means.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, union law.
Right, that's why I gave it an 8, so you want me to bump it down to 7?
I mean,
Whatever you feel
it says-
comfortable with. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you which one to do it to, but,
I'm a 7 then, because I did think he had some basis of it.
okay, and Helen, if you feel like you want to adjust it, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm willing to go up to 6.
Okay. The next one was your experience with budgeting and finance for special taxing districts. If you came in with the 5, I gave him 2 points for that, so it'd be like a 7.
That's what I had as a 7. And he understood grants, he
7.
understands.
Right,
Seven.
exactly.
So we're pretty solid on that.
I do a
I'll
7,
go to 5, but I can go to 6.
yeah.
You comfortable with that? Good. And then the 5th question was, how will your background assist you with understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services? I thought that question is probably his strong point, because he seems like he dealt with the operation side more than anything else.
Yeah.
And even at that, his brevity was like, okay, I'll give you a 7 on that. So,
Yeah, I went 6.
7.
I agree, I went 8, but it should
I'll
be
go
8, because you're right, he's kind of brief and that's my background, so, all right, so.
question number 6, what is your role as it pertains to labor issues? What is your role as it pertains to labor issues in the Sedona Fire District? He hit it right on the head. Basically, it's to listen and not get involved. You know, should he have elaborated more and say, get back with the group, call the chief, call this, call the board chair, whatever, but he got the main point. And although I gave him a 9, that's a little bit high. Maybe, depends what the rest of the.
I get it.
7.
Because I like the way he said that he thought about it and then he's going to get back to the board and not just,
That was the essence of it.
yeah.
Again, one of my explanation, where have you done that before? Or, you know, to tie it all in, that's where he was a little bit brief. So I'll drop mine down.
Okay, so should we drop
So,
to 8?
so I was at,
7.
yeah,
7 here.
8's fine, 7, 8 is.
Yeah, as long as we're in that point value, I think, on the other side, I think it's fine.
I'll go to 8.
okay. The next question was, are you willing to commit additional time when needed and or provide willingness to participate? We all know that we had a little bit more than what we bargained for, right? And he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, nothing over the top.
Right.
And, but it was a solid response, and I gave that an 8. And
I'll say
maybe,
So I can go up.
I just did
Yeah,
that
I
a
could-
6.
And I gave it a 5.
okay,
Because it just was like yes and no additional.
Yeah, it was like,
Yes, committee is looking at you, so.
Okay.
So I could go to a 6 on that.
yeah, I'm good with that.
I could go to 7.
Next question is,
No.
you've been contacted by the local news media and or a member of our community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
I had a 7, but I could go up too. I thought it was good.
with Jared, I did a 7.
I did an 8.
What would
The
we
That's fine.
opportunity for him to.
Number
I lost a
Number
number 8. I
Number
did an 8.
Yeah, we're good then. We're good on
Oh, all
that.
right.
We're all good on that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, because he wasn't just leaping at the answer.
I like it.
9, I
Number
did.
9, I gave him a 7.
7.
7.
All right, I'll come down on mine.
Yeah, me too. I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 9 also.
First thing he said was teamwork, and I was. all over
Yeah.
that.
I like that.
And
And I like
those-
the way he said, if it doesn't work, then we'll change our thinking and make it work or drop it. So,
Yeah, I mean, so I'm at a 7.
That's right. 7.
well, see, I'm at a 9.
Okay, well, if you're comfortable with 9, you know, it's, like I said, he answered the question, that first phase of the question.
Right.
But, okay, where have you used that sense of reasoning before?
Yeah, no
Well,
example.
there's nothing. And then, you know, how often do we truly work outside of the box? Well, we don't. The confines of an agenda, you know, keeps our hands tied. So this board more than anyone probably follows the rules more so than anyone. So to work outside the box and you got a winner sitting right there.
A lot of opportunity.
So, you know, if 9s or 10s or 8s are a little high based on the average of the board.
I'll go down to 7.
And then number 10, much like the residency one, is just straightforward. You know, no,
I had it as a 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was torn on
you and I
that.
think alike.
okay, and I just,
I put 7.
I'm gonna go with,
So I'll go up 1 just so we're within that point value, I guess.
So you go on the
so where you
6.
at?
Yeah, I went to a 6 just so we're within that.
I'm gonna go
So I'm right
to
at a
6.
65.
I have to redo my thing.
Yeah, I don't think I left all the numbers. How am I not gonna do that?
You want these to go?
You know, hang on to them, what's that? Yeah, hang on to them at the end
If you
of,
change it, it goes
or
up.
do you want them all right now? We'll get them.
Sure. Okay. So this is.
See over here.
I got a chair like you.
Scratch that out. So this is. Scratchy scratches. Then I gotta add them. Okay. I'm gonna read those.
67. Okay, so I ended up with the 67, 63,
65.
65.
I gotta add. I might have.
I'm at
6,280.
I'm at 66.
I'm at 68.
All right, we're good
Over
now.
there.
That's
I'll
a
give you an
appropriate spread.
You're still good? Gotta add. Right.
Okay, just, so whatever your score was, just put up in the front corner, big and with the circle, so Kimberly has them all up. She's the one, she knows.
You like.
Yeah.
66, Route 66, I wrote on that a little bit the other day, when it came in,
Yeah.
immediately go back to the 50s.
Really?
Okay, 68,
I wrote
put
that.
it up with Scott.
I'm still getting that.
Sweet.
Hang on,
Good.
hang on.
You won't need it,
Mark the
though.
chiefs and bread.
I think the. I wrote 260 to the 87 to the. Yeah, I'm looking at the 8. And I just kind of went, was.
Did anybody put their name on their grade sheet?
no.
I know.
Didn't have a space for it, so.
I didn't want to do that. Possible.
We did it on our, just so, yeah. I don't know if he wants to.
I'm not my handwriting.
Me too.
I didn't write anything.
Okay, so that was the first one. What do you
Walk it
think?
all in.
Any pros or
Can I
cons on the
borrow
first
some of that lava material?
process?
I think it was,
Was it okay?
Yeah.
I think it was the last thing, just kick back, easy,
Just make sure you ask number 10
the same way.
the same way, not as it's written. Did you ask, do you have any conflicts? And then you said, is there an absence? So you have to do that again.
I just,
Okay, 62.
that's all the work.
Okay,
was.
now
And
I'm gonna-
then that's also
Enough for
true,
us
6,
here.
because we
So
asked
I'm
what would
stretching
be-
this out so it
Yeah.
doesn't.
You don't have to scratch it out.
That was
Yeah, and
the-
ask 6 the same way. or
Yeah.
What would
would
be?
be,
I read it.
yeah,
I know.
but you then changed it and said would be, or well, somebody changed it.
Yeah.
So it's just a what would be, just add that in.
Okay.
I'm a stickler for that.
You said for the
I read
10th.
it.
Going through that with another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your lands.
I read it.
On this number 10. Is there an absence that,
You, what you said is there an absence of conflict, of conflict? What was it, the way, so
You
you,
said, do you have a conflict? Is there an absence?
Yeah.
And then for number 6, you said, you said, what is your role as it pertains to labor issues in Sonoma Fire District? And then you said,
would be, what would be?
what would be?
yeah, 'cause it's-
I mean, if
I
it's
wanted
something
to,
for
I
the
wanted
wood,
to,
move them along.
and I wanted Don to feel that he- as a board member, probably should have been the lead to lead the question into, as a board member, what is your,
Yeah, that question threw me off.
What? what is your role as it pertains to labor issues in the Sonoma Fire District? As a board member, my role is to take the lead from the chief. It's his district. We're here to just confirm, to approve.
Well, he did sort of
What would
say
your
that.
role?
What is your
Those
role as it
words.
pertains to labor issues and supervisors? Or would be?
What
That's the way it was.
what would be your role as it pertains to labor issues in Sonoma Fire District?
What would be
Role.
So just get rid of
Yeah,
that.
basically.
Yeah, there we go.
It's all read Lance's write-up already.
I have it memorized. I have them all memorized.
It's your young brain.
No, it's like I said, I've spent a lot of time on this, and I've spent a lot of time with Bruce. And a lot of time working on it. But, no, Lance was volunteering here for a while, and Corey was on the board for a while, and Bruce, we've had recent frequent meetings about water pipes.
No, I was talking that you can
Is
store.
Bruce the last one today? I think Bruce.
And I've been to his Russian room, and his bar, and his house.
Did you have fun?
Well, I was in uniform. It was a Saturday HOA meeting, and it's like, handing me mimosas. I'm like, no. We're in there, like, sorry, bro. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I pull up.
Whoa.
Had a bit of Bloody Mary made.
Yeah, but let's just say his bar in his house, there's no Jack Daniels on the shelf.
Probably too low.
Yeah, that's.
There you go.
No, like I said, I'm very excited about the fact that not only do we have this much interest, but it's a diverse group that each of them brings something that would benefit the district in some way. And it's just how you ultimately, if you feel there are a few good candidates, I think it'd be good for us to say, hey, you didn't get it this time, but you know, we got some stuff coming up. But to have people now that have this level of interest excites me because, and they all have good qualities that would bring some diversity to the board.
Well, that's what's kind of nice is that you get to see potentially who may be the candidates for positions
Yeah.
in 2 years.
Well, that's not, like, as the dude that works here, I'm excited because frankly, it's always been not always, but typically it's been a scramble to find somebody, like to have interested parties that we could teach them about the district and really make sure they want to do it a year out. That I'm so excited about that.
Do you scramble that over here?
No,
Yeah.
I'm
You had a
typing,
vacancy.
Yeah.
telling them all of you. I'm just
It's
texting
funny
away.
because Steve said,
You see how I text?
You're on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So this
he didn't have much
is,
of a say.
this is exciting for me because it, like I said, just to have people interested, because it doesn't matter what
Or
board.
just to have backup.
We had an attorney we had school board meeting last night and we had an attorney presenting a new policy, a way to do policies for the school district. And she comes in, she's like, Ed, what are you doing here? And then Bob's like, how do you know this attorney? I'm like, she's like, because Ed's on all the boards. And I'm on another board with her down in Phoenix and I didn't know we used the same attorney. And Bob's like, dang, man, yeah, I keep busy.
Watching.
Yeah, Bob, sounds straight. No, he's gonna miss our next board meeting. He's gonna be via phone because he's at the
Well,
national
he's not
finals.
missing it, but he's there.
What's that? Yeah,
He's-
but he's gonna, so our superintendent retired and then we hired him back. So he's collecting his pension and we hired him back and it's at a reduced rate. And he wants to retire. I want to keep him because he's doing great things. And so I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna miss a board meeting and be there telephonically and make your wife happy, then have at it. Because she's retired too, but he's,
Oh, so that they both want to do stuff.
yeah, and the kids are out of the house, but he wants to, he still wants to be involved with school, so I want to do anything to support it because he's a great asset. And we're growing right now. Oh, yeah. Well, if he's not working at the school, on most weekends,
I mean, he's better.
he's rodeo clowning.
He's
He's rodeo
bloody
clown?
nose, but don't want to be dashing out when anybody's here.
No. Well, I got Dory turning me on to that Navage thing.
I got, what, 15 minutes?
You shove it in your nostril, button, and it like circulates saline through it.
Well, the flush, the nasal flush.
Yeah.
Man, I've not done it. My wife thinks the world of it. Oh, I'm gonna drown. If I do, I'm gonna drown.
Like, it doesn't sound
Have
pleasant.
you ever heard of it?
Yeah. no,
I'll tell you what the diamonds
No,
are.
I'm not.
And they just, they go to a sink and-
Abby did it, and the collector thing, was like, I was like, how did your little head have so much stuff in it? And
I want one of those things so.
it was super cool and super gross.
Yeah, very gross. And that's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because it
Shoots it up
in
and
one
sucks
and
it
out and sucks
Yeah.
it out the other, so you're just,
Also, there's sulos.
there's two little like,
It's a
nasal
little
plugs,
plug.
you plug your nose and you just turn that thing on and it just circulates and you, like, I felt it, like my sinuses filled and it drained and I was just like, oh, and you're like, hold on, it's almost done. And then, like,
God, your face.
Sounds great.
oh, it was,
Oh,
no, it feels great.
And I'll do that before I do that.
I do
like
use a
my
bar.
sister.
Yeah.
said she's been
Harry
on
turned me on to a
COVID,
water
said
chick,
she'd
you know,
done it,
oh,
and none of
Best
us.
thing there is.
Yeah.
Don't use
I'll
that
suffer.
But I'm not gonna use that. I'm like, maybe I can
Hey,
branch out the lie to it.
they got that on the YouTube videos. You can watch it. There was, kids seem to do okay with it.
It worked. Yeah, my wife felt like she was drowning.
Long, huh?
Oh, it's
Probably heated.
No, it's it's got a little,
Should I go down there? Go down
Just
there?
so much water or something.
yeah, like a little, probably a half,
I'll go down.
half of a water bottle worth of water, and it's probably
Have a drink.
10, 15 seconds.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, it just cycles through and you just feel it, like everything.
That's good. Like,
Great. Yeah, and then
That's what might dry up.
might have to try it.
yeah, and you can buy it with your HSA card.
Wow. Buy a lot of things. They don't like bullets on there for some reason.
Here's medicine.
It's good for your veins.
Yeah, whiskey's medicine. What's
God
that?
is great.
Yeah.
Beer is good.
Yeah.
Nick Nurse and McKenna, it's all medicine.
Come on in, have a seat.
Oh, well, all right. We're just waiting on Janet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lance Waltrip, our next candidate.
And that's Scott Spring in it.
I'm sorry, Jared Tarver. Nice to meet you.
How's it going, man?
Hi, Helen McNeil.
Janet.
All right, you're a few minutes early. We've got some time to sit down a little bit. Is the new water going to right for you? We'll go in just a few minutes. Actually, we can go right now. Okay, well, welcome to your interview, Lance. This is for the Sonoma Fire District Governing Board. This side of the table, you've already met the board members. Yeah, there should be 5 of us, so we're looking for that one person. On this side, we have Fire Chief that you know already, and Captain Tarver, who is,
I met you several times.
Yeah.
Over the years when I was.
he's pretty much representing labor today.
Yeah.
So it's a question of you on that topic. Okay. All right. We have a set number of questions that are being asked of all the candidates. We just ask that you speak clearly, that we can hear and write. We'll start over on this side with each question and work our way around. And it will be recorded. Kimberly will be doing our recording. And this is an open meeting, so it is open to the public. So if somebody comes in to want to watch, they'll be sitting right up there. So, but with that said, again, thanks for coming, and we will start right away with question number 1 from Scott.
Lance, tell us a little about yourself and any past local government experience you may have.
All right, my name is Lance G. Waldrop. I live at 205 Lake Drive in Sedona. Been a resident here for going on 7 years. My background is almost all exclusively federal service, including uniform, Navy, active reserve, and then federal civil service. 2-year break in service where I worked for the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Transportation, where I was trained as a heavy mobile equipment mechanic as well as a DOT safety inspector. I have a wife, no children, 2 dogs. I like motorcycles, restoring old vehicles, I build Jeeps, and just enjoy hiking here and just, maintaining my health and fitness. This is my way of getting back involved with the community as far as local government, simply as a volunteer with the agency as the agency needs me, but as far as administratively, I would appreciate any guidance that I can get.
Okay, well, you answered my question so far.
So what is your understanding of Arizona's open meeting and public records laws?
Had a chance to review almost a 4,000 word document to include the case law and the precedent. So as far as I understand it, the origins date back to 1901, territorial days. Historically, Arizona seemed to have a culture of open access to government, and then it was codified in 1974 on similar lines to the Privacy Act of 1974, which I am very familiar with in past life. I know that there are reservations or restrictions to it. So personally identifiable information, professional association, professional discretion. The board has legal counsel that is there to advise and guide and to provide, kind of that navigator presence. And so I'm, again, going to be depending on my peers and my associates on the team to guide me properly. I can tell you this, that typically the first 2-3 years in a leadership position, I listen 80% of the time, do not talk 19% of the time, and then speak when spoken to 1% of the time.
The question I have for you, Lance, is what is your experience with budgeting and finance for special taxing districts?
So the budgeting and that experience all rests at the federal level when I was a department head. Now, the federal government's a little bit different. The national government isn't bound to budgetary requirements as everyone else, I mean, state all the way down to the smallest municipality and government chartered organization is. But I can tell you that as far as department heads are concerned, whether it be in uniform or not, you're limited to what you can spend. My ultimate goal when it came to my people and my charges was that you had the first and foremost, you were compensated. Secondly, you had the tools and equipment to do your job safely. I had to leverage that against what the chain of command would give me as far as money to spend. And so if I had a heavy equipment operator, for example, that had a specific requirement, it was for a $455,000 piece of equipment. But GSA would say, well, you know what, federal law says the option within the budgetary constraints of your department is the one that's $395,000. Then you're going to have to very clearly spell out why you need this piece. Send that back down to my expert, my right hand and his people and say, I just line items specifically, and health, safety, availability, and mission performance. Those bullets were met, then I had what I needed to procure that piece of equipment. On the other side of the fence now, that once a year I stroke a $3,000+ check for my property taxes, it has afforded me I knew what I was responsible for as a fiduciary. Well, now I'm a payee or payer, and the board essentially is a payee. So I am very interested in seeing all that in action, but knowing that I am a financial stakeholder in this organization is the majority of my property tax check.
Thank you. Chief?
How will your background assist you with understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services?
My background, when I transferred to Naval Auxiliary Landing Field, San Clemente Island as a heavy equipment mechanic, before I could even lay hands on a piece of red gear or any other tactical wheeled piece that belonged to Federal Fire, was I had to be sent to the California Fire Mechanics Academy. It is a public-private chartered entity that underwrites any mechanic, whether it be a private ambulance mechanic or a municipality or CAL FIRE, before you can lay hands on a piece of an apparatus. And so once I crossed that gate, then I was sent back to the island. I was responsible for, it was 11 pieces. There would be 3 Type 1s, 2 or 3 brush rigs, 3 ambulances, and about a half a dozen command vehicles, similar to what this agency runs for the captain and that chief level. What I was responsible for doing was maintaining their periodic scheduled maintenance, but because I was kind of a one-man show when I was on shift out there, I had to rely on one of the engineers to assist me, and it was a very good relationship because, to give you some example, they might get 3 calls in 1 year, because it was a very remote facility. But when they did, more often than not, I would have to deploy with them because the machinery would break down. It's old, it didn't get used that much. It's like the house is not being lived in. Sometimes it just has breakdowns. I began to understand the organizational management of Fed Fire. It's very similar to this agency and the expectations for training and interoperability. And within about 6 months and shortly, by about a year and a half, they promoted me to director of transportation up there. So I got to deal with the chiefs, or the one chief we had, and the battalion commanders. And it's a lifestyle that I was indoctrinated in, but very much kind of a lateral fashion. And then when I volunteered for this agency, it was kind of the capstone because I was able to kind of clearly see and understand for myself the operations, admin, telecom, how they all came together to create this, as far as I'm concerned, a very high functioning, well-developed, very admirable agency. I have absolutely no problem paying my taxes to.
What would be your role as it pertains to labor issues and the Sedona Fire District?
My background is on both sides of the fence. My first bargaining unit that represented me was the International Brotherhood of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Norfolk, Virginia. And the second was SEIU, which covered most of Southern California with the federal agencies there. Because when it comes to life-saving or federal capacities, there are some limitations. The bargaining unit has definitely control when it comes to safety equipment and some of the peripherals. When I assessed into management, of course, I had to leave. And then my interface became the various shop stewards. So we drew a shop steward from my own people, and then I had a shop steward over on the mainland, and then I had a couple of executive officers. The fortunate thing was we already knew each other, and they already knew the management style I had, which was my people always get paid. They always get the gear that they need to do the job safely. And if they have a problem, access to me is instantaneous. And I will be their advocate until the end. And that's something that will never change. I have a deep and abiding respect for labor because for so many years I was broke and poor and didn't have any representation. And having to interact with it on both sides of the house was, it gave me some depth of understanding there. Again, I kind of point to my vitae. If labor relations work here, and if it isn't broken, then the best I can do is not break it, and then foster and continue to promote that kind of productive relationship. And conflict is okay, because that means we have an impasse and we need to work past it. And the team's job, and my tentative position on this team, is to facilitate that. All of you all are my betters. You have a lot more experience than I do. I bring my own experience quotient to the table. But I can guarantee you that I will be listening, as I say, 80% of the time, and speaking very little.
Thank you. Scott.
Wait,
Excuse me.
go ahead. So, got it. Just gotta get to the light. Thanks. It goes this way.
All right. Are you willing to commit additional time when needed and/or provide a willingness to participate?
Yes. And to that end, my top priority here, and part of the reason why we relocated here, was for my continuing long-term health. But that's primarily because I'm missing some organs and I have some titanium in my body. And it precludes me from being an operations, which is why I was put out to pasture so early. But that's not uncommon. You give me a call or text, I'm available. I live 2 miles away. And I know most every trail intimately because I hike in excess, almost 400 miles a year. So this is my town. I love it. I've bonded with Sedona, and I'm going to be here the rest of my life.
Janet?
You have been contacted by the local news media or a member of our community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
The response would, I've been down this road before. The response is typically, thank you. It's a great question. I do not know, but I will find out, and/or I will defer to the chair. I believe it's appropriate, it's because the chair is the lead, that the chair should be the front end as far as interacting with the press. I'm caught off guard. Say I'm uptown one day and somebody sees that I'm, in the position I'm in, it's going to be the same thing. If it's, well, when it comes to press and members of the press, it's just going to be those answers. And I stick to it.
Governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as the decision-making process, and what are your group consensus skills?
First, as I say, listening. You have to listen, active listening. One of the problems that I encountered in my youth was that when there was a group setting, even if it was student council, or if I was a member of the undergraduate curriculum committee, which had 2 student members and then 5 acting professional faculty, was that I would be formulating a response based on 10 to 15 seconds of initial sentence being spoken by someone, rather than listening to them thoroughly until the end of what they had to say. Framed up against, okay, whatever topic has brought us to a point where we're going to have to work this out and then draw consensus. It's always listening and being patient. Ultimately, people will begin, let's say there's a point of contention. And we don't know people's lives. It might have been a bad day. There's a point of contention. And the initial pop-off valve, usually 3 to 4 minutes. Then we could start getting down to, okay, you know what? It's Dave and Lance. We're people. We're talking. We're trying to flesh out a solution to this. And the ideal that I walked into that situation with, I might just discover, you know what, I was probably wrong, or I drew a conclusion that was premature based on my own misconception. Trust. I have to trust that my associates on the team are going to listen to me just as much as I'm listening to them. I don't bring any sort of, I'm a human being. I do my absolute best to put away my own personal ideals because I'm an equipment guy. And that's, we have our own culture. To say, you know what, this other equipment guy that has his favored string of equipment, hail versus water as pumps, for example. And I'm a hail guy. I was trained as a hail guy. Well, you know what? Waterist sells millions of these things. They must be doing something right. And that's the kind of the way you back yourself away from the ideological anchor you might be stuck on. This guy's got some really good training. She's got some really good experience behind her as an engineer. I think perhaps I should be listening, taking some notes, following up.
Okay, the final question we have for you, Lance, is there an absence, or do you have any known conflicts of interest?
No, as I say, I'm a hail guy, but I take no compensation from them of any kind.
All right, well, that concludes the interview. Is there anything else, additional information that you would have to inform us of, or like to add?
I really appreciate your time and the opportunity to show up. I'm very grateful that I made it through the hurdle to at least sit here and to get to know all of you. I will, regardless, if I'm selected to be a part of your team and I do want the position, then if that is not the case, then I will do my best to make some more meetings. I used to be a regular, and I would be singular, and then somebody told somebody that I was a really good mechanic, which I am certified and I'm a competent mechanic. And then I started building Jeeps, and then everything spun off in a different direction. Then my body said, look, you know what? You can't be doing this anymore. So my desire is to fulfill what I believe is kind of in my blood as a public servant again. That's it.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your time.
And Lance, I appreciate you have an interest in the board. In years past, we've had varying degrees of interest, and to have this many, to have interviews is exciting to me because we've got a community that wants to be involved. So, and you're one of those folks. I appreciate it. Sure.
Oh, again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sir, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you too.
Man,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow.
just call me grandma.
Call us all now. Oh, good. It's no.
You can see a little difference in
Oh,
completeness of
yeah.
elaboration.
Oh.
But it could be a little more difficult too, to muddle through everything you said.
Okay. Numbers game.
Yeah. Real quick, then, question number 8. I was listening, I wasn't writing. What were some of the comments that you had on question number 8?
You said,
Yeah, with the local media or members?
yeah,
He said come back to you.
yeah, that's a great question, and defer to the chair what I got, that's what I wrote. Just making sure you're following up. He said pretty much with media, that would be always the answer, because, yeah, media is, they're always searching.
We were always told, stay away from.
We are,
But you know, sometimes you don't realize that, the community will send letters to every one of the board members wanting a response, and man, if there isn't a quicker way to split a board,
oh, yeah.
because we don't know what you said,
Yeah.
or what you said, or what I said. And,
And if you don't have that trust and that working relationship, that could easily tear up, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he had a lot of good,
Yeah, big word.
buzzwords, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
I
buzzwords.
was going to say, wait, it's not passwords. And I'm still trying to look for it. I have one that doesn't work. So it's like, oh.
Yeah, so we didn't really get to two, but he kind of answered two in one, right?
Yeah, it just is right.
Yeah, it was pretty much incorporated into one.
Right, right.
Okay. So. I don't know, what did you do on the last one? Five.
Okay, so that was just straight one forward.
Well, it was weird because it was answered in the first question. I asked 7 years ago. Tough one to hear that.
You get more points for 40 years.
Oh, you're a 10.
You know, like, how do you quantify that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
How
like-
many numbers for how many years you've been here? You know? Anything.
Same with number 10. That was kind of like the,
Yeah, just no. That's all I,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so.
Yeah. Making it easy for us.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, put me right in the middle of it too, because it's kind of like, yeah, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
I am, this,
Understands labor, but didn't really see the relationship between the board and
Yes.
Yeah, he volunteered here
okay.
not as a, he was kind of a liaison with the shop. He helped with some processes. He managed the shops with the feds. He helped with some processes and worked with Mike a little bit. He couldn't wrench because of the restrictions with his retirement. I don't know.
I'm
Collaborative is his responsibility. Some of them were not.
Oh, thank you.
At 65 again.
Wow. I'm gonna add it again.
Tell.
There we go.
You know, I don't.
That's why we get stressed out.
Thank you.
I know that what I got.
You know, they did find.
Can I get anybody to-
Anybody
Anybody
I
wants
know
to
you're
drink?
all pretty fond of land, but I thought this funny how he kept saying, I'm listening.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
You're very possessive.
Want a couple ice or something?
No, I'm.
And I want to be clear, I have a unique fondness for each candidate for different reasons.
Yeah.
Fair.
Two different people.
Yeah, and well, and the two to come, you know? Yeah.
So do we want
Yes.
Okay. I had it.
I have a 75, maybe high.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
It's hard to put a number sometimes. It is, it's a hard thing. I'm trying to
Because this
listen
one's
to
lower.
every aspect of it.
Well, I think some of mine are high.
Okay.
Yeah.
7, you're an 8.
Yeah, we're good there. We're good on 2.
2 to 5, that's, we're all there because it's, yes.
All right, so going around the table, I'll start it. I got a 75 as an overall score. Would you have?
I was at 64.
That's a 65.
64, 65.
Yes, we're still doing our.
62, so right now we're sitting at about 64, about 63.
What are you at?
53.
I was at 53, but I think I'm a little low.
Okay, 53, okay.
Mapping.
And will you add this?
Kim, can you run over to your office and turn off his Bill.com access?
good idea.
We were in there one time and we never did any Wi-Fi. I just kind of read the papers and listened to her cuss everybody in the building.
I tweak on Bill.com. I didn't realize just the little, what we pay to haul poo out of Station 5. And just and your phone call to Bill.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
That'll be $98.
Well, they changed the format on the phone this last time. Totally frustrating.
Format for
Because that's where you.
Yeah.
What did I say a board meeting cost? What was it, $600 or something? Yeah.
For Bill.
Yeah.
He comes at 1:30 in the afternoon and sits down there and he takes calls and does paperwork and.
And every month he calls me and says, hey, you got any questions? I said, no, Bill, like, as I've stated before, but if there's anything of legal consequence on the agenda, I'll reach out to you. Oh, okay, sounds good. And then I see the bill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's not many of them out there, and
Yeah, you pretty much,
I think it mentions at 11 o'clock. So we got plenty of
they
time.
have to have.
Yeah.
like, it's.
Yeah.
For sure.
Finish up so I can pause the recording.
Am I holding the whole thing up?
No, I was doing it too. Okay, I got a 76, is that too low?
76?
Yeah.
That's 75, but I think so far we're the high. We're the high hose. You know, let's rally around the flagpole.
I would find another term.
Yeah, I would.
Come on, you guys. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Appreciate
Yeah. Remember, you're being recorded.
Thanks.
So,
Just
It's right
being
across.
you, just for being you.
One more time.
Scott, give me a number. What do you got?
56.
That's on the low. Okay, that's on the low side, and we're as high as a 75, 76?
76. I can lower mine now.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at
I
it.
was trying to.
Q by Q.
Yeah,
What kind
Right off-
what kind of
right off the
grade?
bat, number one, I had put him a 9. I was just impressed with the amount of talking he was doing, but it may be a high.
I think that's why I left that too low.
I was at an 8. It was comprehensive answer that reflected the past government experience.
Yeah, it was, that's why I put it in 8 too, because it was a
And
comprehensive
I had him at a
answer.
7, so
I had
that's.
them at a 7.
Okay.
Okay, so I can lower mine to 7.
Well, no, I mean, you're an 8, that's fine, you're within a point.
Mhm.
That's-
The second one was the residency thing, and I think most of us would settle in on 5.
Oh, all right, I can do that. I
Based
put it
on-
7
Based
just-
on the last
I think
criteria.
we're
That's true,
Consistency.
you're right, because the consistency, I wasn't
And
consistent.
what gets you more points?
Oh, that actually lowers mine if I do that. I'm too low.
68.
That's-
No, that's fine. You reflect. It's not so much where you go on the scale, it's if you're within 1 point plus or minus of the other scoring body.
Right.
The third question, Arizona open meeting law. I thought he gave an extensive response, and I gave him an 8, but I don't know.
I had it at a 7, so I'm right there.
I
I
had
had
a
a
7.
7.
All right, 7. He started with a really amazing Google response and
1,000 words talking.
but no, I had a 7.
And he did tell us that he paid his taxes.
Anyway,
That he paid his taxes.
That
yeah,
impressed you.
so we got to expect that money coming in. On the fourth question, what's your experience with budgeting and finance for special taxing district? Again, his answer was involved, maybe not always on point, but it was involved. He used a couple keywords, that he threw out there with that.
I had him as an 8.
An 8, yes, yeah.
That's,
That's the one
I
I,
had a 7.
So
I had a 7.
7.
that's, I think we're all there.
The next one up was, how will your background assist you with understanding of fire, life safety, and emergency medical services?
'Cause you know what,
Again, I have it at 8, but
he talked about the mechanical, the fire, the Cal Fire Mechanics School, whatever you, that is, to me,
Yeah.
fire, safety, and emergency medical services.
kind of missed the
He
point.
missed the mark. I mean, I understand, I think, where he was going with it, because it's what he knows. But I don't know if he covered.
So was that, would you have?
Yeah, I had him in an 8. But I mean,
Oh, I had him at a 7.
so, I mean,
I had a 7.
Yeah, so.
And I was at a 7. I was creeping higher, but he reflected experience with fire, EMS, life safety, but didn't really bring it back home to settle fire.
Yeah.
So what is that doing?
Yeah, so I'm always.
I think it's okay. That's fun of everybody. Number 6 is what was your role as it pertains to labor issues in the Sedona Fire District? And I threw him an 8 in there, but.
At a 5.
I gave him
6.
4.
I gave him a 6.
So 6 is what
You sort of all over the
6.
board.
Yeah, it was,
Okay, so mine was high, and why would mine be so high? Understanding issues towards his past mechanics. and clear depth of Understanding what his labor rules issues are. I mean, he understood the relationship between labor and the district, it appeared. And even with that, maybe that 8 is still a little bit high, based on what I'm saying. Now, you had a 4.
Yeah. See, I didn't hear him answer the question.
He didn't,
Okay.
he didn't clearly tell me that he understood the interaction between labor and the board.
Yeah.
He has a clear understanding of how the labor process works, with shop stewards, wages, benefits, working conditions, but yeah, the home run would have been, and with my past experience, I will support strong labor management relationships between our management team and labor to come to a consensus on these issues.
Okay. The next one up is, are you willing to commit additional time as needed or provide a willingness to participate? Basically, yes, available anytime.
I had it at 5 just to be consistent with the last one.
Basically,
That's
yes.
one of those questions. Yeah, that's a yes.
And I was at a 6, but full disclosure, that's a biased score because I know how much volunteering he does. So I would have rated him higher, but I would have expected him to expand on, well, yeah, I currently do blah, 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 blah. And so I was at 6.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wrote yes, no dear for my help, and on a call and a text,
What did you have?
I had them on a 5 just to be consistent on that type of question.
This is seven we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, I had a 7, but the more.
But I can go to, I mean, if you guys,
I'll drop it to a 6.
How about you, Scott?
7.
I was a 7 also, so, it seems like we're all within that, 5 to 7, 6,
so
7.
you're a
8.
7 or a 6, I'll send you
You can stay at a 5 and 7.
it's still away. You're,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Next one up is, have you been you've been contacted by the local news media, or a member of the committee with an issue that wants a response? How would you respond? And basically his answer was to listen and then defer it to the board chair.
Yeah. I gave him a 7.
I had an 8.
7.
I gave him a 7.
So was it?
So I had 8. So 8 would be Apple, but AOK too, so it's within that realm. The governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as a decision-making process? And what are your group consensus skills? I wrote an 8, but I think that was high, but I gave him an 8 nonetheless, so.
I got a 7.
I got a 7.
I got a 7.
I'm low in the 6.
8.
8, okay, so we're pretty close there.
Yeah,
And then the last one, again,
I got a 5.
a 5.
6.
For absence of conflicts.
Yeah, just to be,
All right, let's be consistent. 5, okay, I got more.
that's one of those,
I think
yes
10
or
and
no.
10 and 2, or whichever one it was, are just a 5 consistent 5.
Yeah, you're right, I should.
And this is how our captains and BC tests go. Okay. It's pretty interesting how close everyone lands with the diversity we bring to our board. Check my score. Totals and whatnot.
They push buttons, I don't want it to, and everything.
Well, it's a smartphone, but a Dell mass owner. Did I say that? Are you not so smart?
I think Josh is coming in.
Are we recording still?
I think he's done.
Thanks, so.
Can we pause it? We're done.
Hi, Cory.
Hey, Corey. Hey, how are you?
Right. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, Corey, thanks for putting in your application to show interest and wanting to come back on board. And we're here to hear what's new in your life since we've seen you last. Got some questions for you.
Okay.
And everybody on this board, on this side of the table is previous board, current board.
Yes.
And you just met them. And then on this side is the fire guys. We got fire chief, and you know Chief Mazulis, and then Captain Tarver. So, and he's gonna be primarily representing labor on that. So
Okay.
he'll have a question for you.
Thank you.
on that. So with that said, it is recorded. This is an open session. So don't be surprised if somebody walks through the door and wants to sit in on the interview, but it is an open session. Yeah, we have, which is a good thing.
I would be surprised if someone.
So this being recorded, and we have Kimberly from our administrative staff that will be doing all of this.
Yes.
With that said, we have 10 questions for you. We're gonna start over here with Scott in just a moment, go around the table, and you'll have an opportunity to have a closing statement, if you will. So with that said, Scott, why don't we get going?
You comfortable?
I just want to raise this.
Here you go.
Okay.
Letter.
They're
Which one?
amazing how high you want
So
it.
very-
That's all you.
That's fine. Well,
There
that
you
is
go.
high.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
There
That's right.
we go.
Okay, this will be easier than the chair.
Okay.
Question number one. Tell us a little about yourself and any past local government experience you may have.
Very good. Well, as you know, my name's Corey Cooperman, and I've been living in Sedona for 13 years now. First in the Chapel area for 10, and then our search to get ourselves closer to our office in town and food supplies without handling traffic. So we moved into Uptown, but didn't like that home as much. And now we love where we live in the Kachina subdivision. Yeah. And in terms of, and I'm a registered nurse. I'm active as a registered nurse. My husband and I do a ketamine treatment clinic 2 mornings a week with people who have severe anxiety, depression issues. And that's been very gratifying. We've been doing that for 3 years. And then I also have a private practice offering guidance and wellness, health guidance to people. And in terms of my involvement, I was on the fire board for 8 years minus 3 months while I was away, and really appreciated being on the fire board, contributing to the quality, the high quality of services that our fire district provides, and having a passion, I would say, for healthcare, getting to participate in increasing every aspect of what our fire district offers was real gratifying, including building Station 6, I have to say, and getting some important apparatus for, protecting the backs of our firefighters, like that striker frame. Are those still being used?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I just find the culture of the fire district, the firefighting culture, to be just beautiful. And I like being a part of it. And it's part of why I'm applying now.
Okay, well, Corey answered my question of how long you lived here, of 13 years. So that's fine.
Okay.
I could add just a little more to that because it's pretty interesting, at least to me. What we were looking for in leaving the Chapel area was a place that our son and grandchildren could live too. He's a single dad with 3 sons, and we found it. It took a while, but we're in the Kachina area where there's 2 homes on the property, and so they live next door to us, but we're on the same property. Yeah, and it's very gratifying to live multi-generationally. I love it.
So
Yes.
tell Judy, what is your understanding of Arizona open meeting and public records law?
Well, they're significant, they're important, it's important to follow them. The open meeting laws, the main feature of it to me is that when you're on a governing board, it's to protect the public so that there aren't behind the scene deals. And in order to do that, you're just allowed to talk with one other board member about any issue. And you have to be careful about that. I have taken quite a few classes in the open meeting law because of attending AFTA, pretty much yearly until COVID hit. And taking Mr. Whittington, class in 101 open meeting law. Yeah.
All right. What is your experience with budgeting and finance for special taxing districts?
Specifically for special tax.
Yes.
Okay. Because as an RN, when I did work as an RN, I was for a couple of years in a management role on a psychiatric unit, we call them unit, in Marin County, California. So that did involve some budgetary management. More importantly, being on with the taxing district, being on the fire board for 8 years and having was clerk. So I had a more involved or active role, should I say, in going over the budget and being able to read the budget and understand it, so that my vote, I would feel, would support the accuracy that was in the budget. So I've had 8 years of experience with taxing organizations.
Okay, thank you.
All right. How will your background assist you with the understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services?
The background I have is as an RN. I worked initially as a public health nurse, visiting people in their homes, young mothers who were pregnant, at-risk moms, for following them through their pregnancy and into their early months of childcare. I ran a well baby clinic. So there were other aspects. I also visited people who were mentally ill and to make sure that they were doing okay. So that was the start of my nursing career, but it has spanned over 2 categories: the psychiatric category, of which I was a psychiatric nurse for 13 years on an acute care unit in Marin County, where we would see seriously mentally ill people rotate through there. And then the other element is in outpatient physical therapy. I've had many years of working as a nurse educator in a clinic, a large physical therapy clinic. We even served the 49ers. This was in the Bay Area. So that's my background for nursing. And I, in terms of the health services, the question being the health services that we provide, I feel like that's an excellent background to have on the board, because I have an understanding of what happens in a health crisis and what people need.
What would be your role as it pertains to labor issues and the Sonoma Fire District?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. This is an interesting question, and I've been asked that question. So this is new, and I'm pleased to see it, to have labor involved in this process, and that would be something that I would like to see, is to have labor at the table and other processes as well, in terms of fire chief selection, but we don't have to do that.
Hopefully.
No. Yeah. and to weigh in on negotiations that happen. Is it every 2 years they happen now? Uh-huh. Or give or take, okay. Around, of course, important things like the COLA and work conditions, recruiting, retention of the recruits that come in. It's labor's input is very important, I feel, because there's a understanding of what goes on in the field and what our firefighters need to not only stay safe, to do their job well, but to stay with Sedona Fire. And so labor plays an important role in supporting their staying with Sedona Fire because they're happy, because they feel they're being paid enough or paid properly and being taken care of enough in terms of their safety issues and work schedule. So those are all the things I think is important for that the union can offer their labor.
Scott?
Number 7, are you willing are you willing to commit additional time when needed and or provide a willingness to participate?
One of the reasons I felt it was time with 8 years in to have a change in my life and be off the fire board. But the biggest reason that I had that feeling was that because our family had moved back from Africa, we had a 5-year-old grandson. And with my son being a single dad, I knew that 5-year-old grandson needed some extra grandma help. And and so I had some time demands that were going on there that are much less so now. He's now 9, and he's pretty confident 9-year-old. Probably thinks he doesn't need any help. So I have more time to be able to commit to not only being on the fire board, but any extra activities that may be required to attend a community event, walkout ceremonies. Not too many of those. We don't want too many of those. I mean, I work. I do want to say I am working, but my work, I would say, grand total of it equals about half time. So there's time in my life.
That brings us to, is that Janet? You just asked that?
Yeah,
Sure,
okay.
it's Janet's turn.
Yes, okay. You have been contacted by the local news or media or a member of the community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
Well, some of that would depend on the issue, but this is just broadly.
Yeah.
If the issue were a very positive one, I think I would just write an email and thank the person for those lovely comments and for the support of the fire district. If they were raising something that they were unhappy about, I'm talking now about a person, not the press, because I feel those are two very different responses. If it were a citizen who is concerned about something with our fire district, maybe they're paying too much in taxes, I would want to consult with my chair about how to respond to that. I do feel that as a board member, most of the time we're each elected and that we have a responsibility to the citizens to respond. So I myself would like to also respond in my own name, but first consult with the board chair about the proper response. And if it were the press, I would want to talk with the board chair and the chief before saying one word.
Thanks.
So, the governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as the decision-making process? And what are your group consensus skills?
Uh-huh. Well, I wish we could have more group consensus, but that open meeting law prevents some. But I do believe in being on a team and being collaborative to the degree we can. legally be allowed to be collaborative, certainly being polite, being supportive, and collaborative to the extent that when we're at the board where we can talk among each other, I believe it's important to state why we want to vote a certain way, to have reasoning offered behind it. And that allows another board member perhaps to speak up at that time because it's legal to speak up at that time, so that there can be a conversation about the vote that's pending.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. The final question that we have for you is there an absence of known conflicts of interest?
None that I know of. My husband is an active MD, a psychiatrist. He works at Red Mountain Treatment Center, which I imagine some of you are familiar with, but it's a treatment center for young adults in the village. They can house up to 52 young adults there for a 9-month program, but I don't believe that offers any kind of conflict. I myself, because I started to want to be connected to the community again, and there wasn't an option of the fire board at that time, I was asked just about 5 months ago to be on the PSPRS board for the police, for the city. And so I am on that. I am one of their 5 members. I don't believe that that's a conflict here.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on that. Okay, well, that concludes your interview. And I'd like to know if there's any additional information you'd like to pass along to us, you can add it at this point in time.
Just to say, in terms of why I'm so desirous of coming back, is that I just have high esteem for our fire district and for what they do, and the way they go about it, and the way they step up to do more than's even asked. That combined with my interest in health services just makes me very desirous of being back on the board.
Thank you. Is there
Okay.
anything else from
Well-
anybody else? I think we're good.
Correct. I just, you know a lot of our history and it's been challenging with the board to fill seats at sometimes. And I just really appreciate you wanting to step back in the ring and I appreciate having interest from the community. And so it's good to see you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's good to see all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for interviewing me.
Oh, it's going to get going.
I'll do this. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to be voting today? I should have asked that. Do you know the process?
That's them.
We're going to be working with the process. We should know by midday tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
notification will be coming soon.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
And she, we're gonna stick with number 2, be consistent. She elaborated.
She did, she was the only one.
Yeah. I mean, I can go up now because it wasn't a yes. Right.
I don't have issue with it. And
Because she explained, having a place for her kid. I mean, it was,
Right, she started to say it in her opening question, but then she elaborated it further with that, which embarrassed me that I didn't think that anybody would want to elaborate, because the others didn't, so I should have asked the question. I just thought it was redundant to ask it, but she did want to elaborate.
Well, and you didn't ask the question. You basically said, Well, you answered my question about how long you answered.
Right.
I'd like to.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So you didn't deviate, you didn't ask it, you did what you did with the other candidates.
Yeah,
So are we good with going up on that?
Yeah.
yeah. Could go up to what, 6 then or 7 or?
Well,
Uh,
and ultimately, I didn't expect to be a part of this process at the get-go because it's awkward to be interviewing your boss, but, being a board member on a couple boards, I appreciate the position you're in and have it, understand it. But so the things I look for is like, I look at towards myself and say, well, why am I involved with the boards I'm involved with? And it's rooted in the passion I have for the agencies I represent. And that's what I'm looking for to be expressed here from the candidates. It's like the why, you know?
Well, I already
She's the
did
only
this
one that's
before.
tied number 5 back into SFB.
Yes, you're right, she was the only one. Yes.
Seven is kind of that thing, was that other,
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
no
started
question.
5 days.
yeah, so
You also use that as an opportunity once again to address why she left.
Yeah, to the that is, she would not do that again.
Yeah, and she'd be available, but
Yeah,
yes, I work.
yes.
All ones and twos?
I like switch.
Yes,
Oh.
especially because we left it so open. She was the only one that
She's like,
expressed
if
it
it
in
was,
part.
yeah, she broke it all
Yes.
apart.
Yeah, she
She's
did.
like, if
No,
it
there was-
a chair or chief, I'm going there.
Yes.
No, there were scars in that story. There were scars in her
Oh,
response.
yeah. Well, she broke it apart. She broke apart. If it was
If
someone
this,
with a nice
then that.
positive letter, I would just email back saying, thank you so much.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
Oh, it's just on the
She
issue
was the
of
only one that did that.
Scars, man. That's what it's, that's what Chief Pichera, our old ops chief, used to say. Well, he didn't call them lessons learned, really. He said, I got scars from that, or I got scars from that. And that's how he would describe it.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, that answer said she been there.
In many places.
Because because we just,
yes,
we,
yeah, keep it. Yeah, I mean,
It's been determined we all need it.
yeah, we all see Scott, you had this up for me.
My thumbs are too big to punch the buttons.
He needs someone to help him operate the
can't do it.
calculator.
Yeah.
It always comes up with the wrong number.
Everything.
You know, I think you do. You hit the plus again at the end, and that doubles your answer.
Oh, it quadruply thousand miled it.
Stop hitting that plus at the end.
That's why I say, I had my whole thumb on it and it came up with 37,000.
486. 37,486.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, quite a big number at first. That's the first one. Plus that, plus.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn you, Kim. Thinking con things. It's like a little piece of Thanksgiving all over.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Look at this pre-Thanksgiving. Okay. Let's see what I have here. The battery's dead.
Why don't you tell me and I'll add them up while you're trying to calculate, and then we'll see who gets done first.
1, carry to 2.
Sorry.
Sorry.
It's an average, that's what you're doing. You're trying to get the average. That's
Well, yeah, I was trying to make it really easy for myself here, but it's not gonna.
This was a standard to give them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, between these two, that's pretty much. This one I put in. So,
Okay. See what we get.
10, yeah, that's pretty good.
Usually we have a 10, but I'm not ready to cancel. Break the Parks and Rec. So, meeting.
Yeah.
on number 8.
No, on number 9. Because,
Yeah, it's,
When it's legal to talk, it's talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
that's not how much better you get that, you know.
you know, it's, you know, after a meeting, and we would kind of just meander out towards the parking lot. You should see a couple of us there talking.
Okay.
Here's your crowd.
No,
Here's your crowd.
Okay, let's try
Talk
this
to
again.
you.
Her, I just had a bunch of flashbacks. And like listening to her talk, all good, but just remembering like how detail oriented that woman is. And that's not a
No.
It just,
I know what you're saying.
like, wait, I've had other board members when presenting, you know, if it's EMS stuff or whatever I was charged with at the time. Sometimes questions were charged or you couldn't really tell where they were coming from. And her questions, you always knew where they were coming from, you know, and it was seeking to understand. And it wasn't a negative, you know.
Wasn't shooting at you.
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
just
an
got-
interrogation.
Yeah.
It was just a seeking to understand.
She did break down some of the answers, her responses into parts that she
Yeah.
applied to wrap.
Getting rid of the CBD?
wow, that's good.
No,
What was it?
It's mint,
Oh, the mint Ghirardelli?
dark chocolate mint.
That's good for you.
Oh. I have another one. Thanks, Scott.
Just think there's 10 more minutes in the gym.
Yeah.
All right. More time here.
Well, how'd you do, Scott?
I 61, but I think I'm a little low.
Okay, keep that in mind.
Did you miss that one question again? Did you miss that one question again?
I miss all of it.
Janet, how'd you do on that?
I got a 79.
79, I think 78,
79.
79, I had a 77,
80.
85.
and 85. Okay, so yeah, yours is a little bit low.
Fix
And,
that, right?
I mean, we could look at it and.
Let them add up all the scores.
Yeah, all of it.
All 10 of them.
I'm gonna help.
Yeah, that's impossible.
He's got
There we go.
to hit a character 3 times to get to the number he wants, right? 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. I think I skipped some because it went smaller.
It went small.
You ought to see us in budget.
You have to, these are 8s.
I got them. I can read your numbers.
Okay. This could
So
probably
8,
go,
16, 24, right? 24.
Dave.
I appreciate all your help. You guys are nice.
Okay.
Too many gummies this morning.
See some of these.
We may have to do the totality here so we can implement that.
Go ahead and correct that picture.
65.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's take a look at them. If we looked at number 1, tell us about yourself and past local experience, local government experience. I started that off with a 9.
9.
I give an 8.
I gave it.
I have an 8.
Okay,
But I'll go
that's
with
good. That's all, no,
Oh,
that's all.
you're within 1.
With-
Well, he's already so low, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah, just start putting ones on.
Even,
Are you adding up the numbers of the questions or are you?
I was gonna say that, can you just turn it back on?
Oh, gosh.
You're so on top of things.
Oh, no, I'm on the wrong
Yeah,
page.
we are
Stick to
recording.
the numbers, so we're recording. Okay, so the next one happens to be about her as residents.
Yeah.
Standard has been 5, I just happen to give her 6.
I went to, I did a
Because of the
seven,
elaboration.
because she elaborated.
All right.
I did a 6 because you.
Okay. Number 3, understanding of Arizona open meeting law. I hit that with a 9.
Same.
10.
And I gave her an 8.
Okay,
8.
okay. Number 4, experience with budgeting, finance for special taxing districts. I gave her an 8.
I went 9.
I went 9.
I'm going up.
8, I went 8.
Okay.
8
I
now.
think 9 is.
And then question number 5 was, how will your background assist you with your understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services? I gave her a 9 on that.
I did
She
too.
decided that. I didn't.
I did a 9.
Okay, all right, so we're still pretty consistent there.
Yeah, we are.
Number 6, what was your role as it pertains to labor issues and the fire district? I gave her a 7.
I had 10.
I
She's
did
the one
9.
talked about recruiting, retention,
I
labor
think
input.
she discussed hiring, firing, and chiefs, she discussed labor negotiations, she discussed recruitment, retention, the importance of working towards COLA
Negotiations.
Wow.
And you didn't write any of that down, remember?
No, it's all written down.
No, okay.
Yeah, no, I,
That's what I wrote.
those are like those are the core can tenets, and then she related it. Those are the words you hear, listen for.
Right, but yeah, that
And it just,
tells you she knows.
Really, the only thing that was missing from that response was the term meet and confer. If she were to say
She
that.
did negotiations,
Yeah, negotiations.
which is
Meet and confer, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
um,
I was at an 8.
So I
Okay.
did 9.
so I can come down, I'm at a 10.
So
So
go down to a 9 on the 9.
maybe.
Did a lot now.
You gotta go
Okay,
up.
the next one is,
I am.
number 7. It says here, are you willing to commit additional time or provide a willingness to participate? She said yes, which was pretty much standard, but I gave her a 7.
I did a 7 too.
I did an 8.
And I did a 9 because she addressed the reason she left.
That's why I got an 8. The reason she left, the reason she's, what climate has changed to provide for an environment where she can provide support. She just, some
I
stuff,
should follow mine up to around.
she discussed it. And then just, in knowledge of district, she elaborated on her knowledge of what she's available for, walkouts and community events, like yeah.
And I'm up to
So,
81.
what were we?
Okay,
8?
the next one coming up is number 8. It's, you've been contacted by local news media or a member of the community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond? And I was impressed with the fact that she broke it down.
I was a 10.
I was a 10.
I
Yeah,
was
I gave her
9.
yeah, I gave her 9.
I'm gonna
And from my perspective, appropriately broke it down because I just try to put myself in a board member's shoes, and if I hear something positive for the school district, for example, I express my appreciation. You know, like just the other day, that I found out there's a scholarship here in town for our tech kids. So I express appreciation for reaching out, and I pass it to the superintendent or the chief.
Well, that,
And then-
and that was, if she were to, like she said, she's going to email a thank you. And she could have said, well, and then let the board chair know this.
Yeah.
And that would have bumped her up.
Mhm.
But you know, what, she pretty much knocked it out of the park on that. Number 9, the governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as a decision-making process and what are your group consensus skills? She talked about team concept in regards to the open meeting laws. And she definitely knows when to talk and when not to talk.
I did an 8.
And I did a 10 on that one because she broke out the open meeting law.
Okay.
Oh,
And I gave her an 8.
Yeah.
I did.
What'd you give, Scott,
I've got 9, 8.
on number
Yeah.
9?
Yeah.
8, okay. All right, and we're all good there, pretty much within.
Yep.
And then the last one was, any no conflicts.
Did
Basically
5.
said-
I did a
so you-
5.
Yeah, because we.
Okay, so readjust.
Can I ask you guys,
Yeah.
so as a board, obviously, I mean, she's served on the board in the past. with having those admin classes and the stuff that she's supposed to do, that help assist when that stuff's already done. They'll get on the board.
Well, it helps her, but she has to do it again.
It helps
She'll
her
have
in
to
this
do it
process
again.
here.
Oh, no, and that's what I was trying to disseminate, if it, you know what I mean?
If she didn't
But she's a
elaborate
leg
on
up.
those facts, then it would be concerning, but she covered it. But no, statute says she has to take them all.
Right, but she's a leg up from the other candidates that she does know all of that.
Just like if I run for a second term and get elected, I still got to go recertify and do all this
Right,
testing.
right.
Dude,
And even if you get appointed midterm, you still have to.
so when
redo
I
it.
was,
Just have to redo it. right?
when I was acting for Trout occasionally, he's like, hey, you should take these classes. And so I did, and then 5 months later, I get the job, and they're like, you gotta take the classes.
Welcome back.
Yeah, yeah. And I think every 2 years I have to take them. I gotta live.
That's the best. Yeah, they're good.
They're good. I mean, it's important information. It's just, it's not, and the folks that teach it a bit, it's not very exciting.
So far, for Corey, we still have that one more interview, but so far Corey seems to be our top interviewer.
We got one more to go, so. we'll see.
Well, that's what so far, I said so far.
I'm at 85.
Yeah, I'm at 81, so.
Pretty much represent. Yeah, well, he's representing the group. He'll have a question for you.
All right.
This is a recorded interview.
Okay.
It's part of our open meeting, and in that,
Oh, right,
somebody could walk in and sit down and listen in.
right,
So far, we've had good luck and nobody has.
right.
We'll continue that trend. We do have 10 questions for you, and we'll go around the room asking them one at a time, and elaborate as long as you'd like to get a point across so that we can get everything we can write down, and at the end, I'll ask you if there's anything you'd like to add. Okay? All right, so with that said, I think I covered all the ground. We'll start with Scott over here to my right. I'd ask you the very first question.
All right. Question one. All right. Tell us a little about yourself and any past local government experience you may have.
Okay. Well, given that I've had mostly a corporate career for most of my time, I've been in, did you all see my resume?
Yes.
That I sent in?
That's really good.
Okay, well, there's one whole page on civic and other activities that I've been involved in. But specifically local government, you know, when I lived in Ohio, Findlay, Ohio, a town of about 35,000 people, I chaired the zoning committee for the city. I was on the county zoning commission. I was on the regional planning commission executive committee. And I was on education committees to promote a number of things, and was a founding, well, I was the founder of a gifted education foundation to support gifted education in the school system. I was the treasurer for the school system fundraising campaign that we had, and then we tried to reorganize the school system into a middle school system, elementary, and then a 6 to 8 middle school system, and then a high school 9 to 12. We did get that done, and I was on the committee that did that, so that's a bit of a related matter. Let's see, what else did I do back then? That was while I was doing a whole bunch of other things as well as my job. So, and I found that rewarding. After that, you know, I got transferred to Houston, and getting involved in Houston civic matters was, it was not on for me. And then, of course, I moved from Houston to Moscow, Russia. So I wasn't, although I was at the top of Russian society, effectively by being the #2 guy in the largest Russian oil company, I never really got involved in government matters at the Russian state level. And Mr. Putin hates me today because I've successfully sued him for over $80 billion. So anyhow, that's my relationship to the Russian government. Mr. Putin threatened me and I left. So, because he didn't want an American at the top of the largest Russian oil company. Anyhow, you know, so I haven't been involved in local government for since the 1990s, probably. But when I was very active in civic matters. Just haven't done it in a while.
Jen?
Are you a resident within the Sedona district? And if so, how long?
Yes, is the answer.
Okay.
I'm in the Sedona district. We live in Uptown, and we bought our house there in 2008. Totally gutted it, including the fire sprinkling system required by the fire marshal, because we don't have enough water pressure in Cebolla Hills. So totally gutted it. It was ready to move in. We then commuted back and forth between Houston and Sedona from 2009 to 2021, and then we've lived full-time in Sedona since 2021.
So what is your understanding of the Arizona Open Meeting and Public Records laws?
I have very little knowledge of that, other than I understand that this group is subject to the Arizona Open Meetings laws, and so I would adhere to whatever that is, and I'd have to get up to speed more on it.
Okay. It's my turn, I guess. What is your experience with budgeting and finance for special taxing districts?
Not for special taxing districts, obviously, but I was in charge of budgeting and finance for major oil companies most of my career. Well, I won't say most of it. I was in charge of corporate finance for Marathon Oil Company. But after that, as a CFO, Pennzoil, and again at UCOS, I was in charge of budgeting. So I know, finance and financials and budgeting, et cetera, and from a corporate standpoint, not from a municipal standpoint. But I think some of the concepts overlap. Certainly, I understand numbers very, very well. Lots of people, when they initially meet me and, understand what I did as a CFO, whatever, thought I was a mathematical genius or something. And I always say, yeah, I'm great at add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Don't ask me any more than that. But calc was my worst course at university, no question. So.
Okay, super. Chief?
Yeah. I was just making some notes.
Mm-hmm.
How will your background assist you with the understanding of fire and life safety and emergency medical services?
Well, as I stated in my letter to you, I have zero experience in fire. However, I'm a very quick learner, and everything I do, I try to do to the best of my ability. So I would, work. You're going to have to spend a lot of time if I get this position training me, but I'm a very quick learner. I think I'm very quick on the uptake, and so I would, if I get the position, I'm going to do my very best, and that means having developed a lot of knowledge in a very short period of time. So, I mean, as Ed knows, I've been involved in the Cebolla Hills efforts to increase our water supply. And unfortunately, since the last meeting we had a couple of weeks ago with the city and Arizona Water, I've had time, but it's my plan, once I'm back in town a while, to start lobbying at the county level, the state level, the federal level. And I've done that very successfully in the past. I was one of the people that got the federal Magnitsky Act passed, which is sanctions against the Russian Federation. So I got that to include sanctions against my former company, the people that had destroyed that. And in doing so, I was working with Joe Biden and John McCain, and Ben Cardin, for any number of names of people that you would know, to try to lobby them to get all that done. So I'm going to try to do that for the water supply issues in Cebolla Hill and Uptown. And if I'm on the fire board and we see that we have water supply issues anywhere else in town, and hopefully some of what I do will be applicable to any of those situations too. And I have been involved a little bit peripherally with the wildfire efforts that Jen Farnsworth has been making in her committee. And I'm aware of it, but I haven't been directly involved with it. So, like I say, I readily say I have no fire background, but I'll get up the curve very quickly.
What would be your role as it pertains to labor issues in Sonoma Fire? Being unfamiliar with what the nature, I don't know whether it's unionized, non-unionized, so I would have to, again, get up to speed on that. I've dealt with unionized labor forces in the past, non-unionized, it's just, I think everybody deserves to have a standard of living that's applicable to whatever position they have. So, I take a look at it and make a judgment. I'm not politically, I'm a libertarian. So, and conservative side of libertarian. So I'm not Republican, Democrat, anything like that. So my principles are lowest possible taxes, least possible government, liberty, freedom, peace. So.
Thank you. Scott?
Are you willing to come to commit additional time when needed and or provide a willingness to participate?
As I indicated, I always try to do the very best that I can at anything that I do. And that's been my past history and recognized for it. When I was in the oil industry, little old Marathon Oil Company compared to Exxon and Mobil and Chevron and BP and all that, my peers in the industry sought me out to chair financing for the industry, financing efforts, because they knew that I would get the job done. That occurred with respect to the major pipeline out of Azerbaijan, out of the Caspian Sea to Turkey, and I led that effort. I led all the offshore pollution control centers that the oil industry built around the coast of the United States. I led the financing of that at the request of my peers and so forth. So I'm always willing to put out extra effort, and of course, in this case, it's going to be extra effort getting up to speed. So.
Okay. Janet?
We have been contacted by the local news media or a member of our community with an issue that warrants a response. How would you respond?
I would, well, one, I've had lots of experience. Okay. I mean, I was on TV all the time in Russia and had been on CNN and all the major networks in my positions. But the immediate response would be, we'll discuss it in the board, and the board give a response.
So the governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as the decision-making process, and what are your group consensus skills?
Well, I think I'm very good in group skills. I don't, I'm very aggressive. I like to get things done right, and we'll go after it. But, it's a group of 5, and you have to reach consensus. And I presume it's a democratic process. When you finally take a vote, it's 3-2, it's 3-2. And, that's the way it is. But I think one of my big skills is actually trying to get people to reach consensus and working creatively to come up with creative solutions where maybe it doesn't appear at the outset that there is a solution. I've been very good at that throughout my career, applying my creativity to that situation to try to come up with solutions. And I've generally been successful, not always, generally.
Or 10th and final question is there an absence of known conflicts of interest?
I don't know any conflicts of interest that I have. Other than, as Ed knows, I'm working on trying to get the water supply. That's, something in our meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Ed was there. One thing I tried to emphasize is I want to pull us all together to get this done on a cooperative basis between the city and Arizona Water and the fire department and whoever else. Let's try to do this cooperatively. Arizona Water could, very easily be sitting there and taking pot shots because they haven't maintained the system as well as they should. But that's not, we're never going to get anything accomplished by doing that. So let's all work together, and that's why I proposed a public-private sector solution if we can get there. Given that Arizona Water is a private entity, it's not like the city going out and trying to do municipal bonds for financing this. It's totally different. So let's come up with something that's public-private that'll work.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that concludes your interview, all the 10 questions we had for you. It seems like it was pretty quick, and it was, but we hit them all. But I just want to give you an opportunity, if there's anything additional that you'd like to inform us of, now's the time to do it.
No, I mean, I when it popped up, I was on the computer immediately, sending in my interest, because I've still got a lot to offer. I'm 73 years old, but most people think I'm 50 something. So, and that's just the way I live. I'm very involved in a lot of things. For the Bola Club, for this, I just organized a trip last weekend to Santa Fe. They said it's the best trip they've ever had. What I did, I used some of my contacts. One of the dinners we had Saturday night was 2 or 3 of the people came up and said, "This is the best dinner I've ever had in my entire life," because I organized it directly with the chef, and we did all of his specialty dishes and whatever. And that's just the way I work. I want high quality. My aspirations, as I put in my letterhead, this is going to be the best small town fire departments possible. I have expectations of high quality, and I strive to get there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your input and taking the time to come over here and talk with us. Is there anything else anybody else has?
I just want to say thank you. Over a couple of decades, we've had different variations of board positions and openings, and this is the first time in recent history we've had such interest. And it's very easy to stay retired and enjoy it, but to want to jump in and be a part of us, I appreciate. I just want to express my appreciation.
Well, as I said, I just think I've got a lot more to give. The city didn't want me for the Planning and Zoning Commission, so now you have to put up with me applying for this. But anyhow, I've been encouraged to run for mayor and whatever, and I'm not going to do that. No, that's too much, and I do enjoy certain aspects of my retirement.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you very much.
All right.
And carry downstairs.
Very good. All right, nice to meet you. It's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
Meeting.
Do you pronounce his name Misamore or Misamore? Misamore?
He said it so fast. I'm going to be incorrect.
He was 2021, he is really full
He
time.
bought no league.
Yeah, before then it was full
Permanent
time.
2020, so 3 years.
2008, full-time in 2021.
Yeah. I think.
62, that was, yeah, generous. Yeah.
I'm at
I'm not.
I'm not either, so I'm not gonna make
It'll be
those
easier for me
scores.
to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make anywhere near those scores.
All right, so I think we could start in on this, and I think that Mr. Meeson was quite a unique an accomplished individual that I think the overall feel that I got, that he doesn't really belong right here. This is a level that he'd probably be unhappy pretty quick because it's not prime corporate America. But he's got experience to me that's probably second. To tone it down to apply here might have long.
I think there's an opportunity potentially for as he represented in his answers, he's got to come up to speed.
Yeah,
If he so chose that path, there's a year for the next cycle.
so as we go through this, let me just start off with numbers overall. Starting with Scott, what'd you have as a totality, total?
Total 43.
43. How about you, Janet?
25.
25, okay.
45.
45, and I was pushing 62, which is high.
I'm 48.
48. Okay, so in this case, Janet was the low and I was the high, so we got to crunch some numbers here and bring more into confirmation of what everybody has. Seems like mid 40s is what we're looking at as an optimum. So, well, question number one, I have marked him with an 8. Now I know that's high, but what did everybody else?
I had a 5.
7.
7.
Okay, so I'm willing to come down to that. Let me see if I bring that down to a 6.
Only because everything that he was saying was inappropriate with that one field and it.
And remember that 6 is if he knows nothing, he just walks in that door and he starts out at 5. I just basically gave him one more than that. That's why.
Okay.
So that's how I justify that.
Right, so
Okay. Number 2, I came in with the 5.
5, that's that status quo.
Given 4 because we had to do the math to figure out he's only lived here 2 years.
Yeah, he's only, 2 years when he purchased in Uptown in 2008. So he was probably still in Russia.
No, I
It
know.
was 2008 back and forth
No,
from Houston to here.
I
And
just
then
think
21.
21 is what you know. Yeah, I can keep mine at 3.
Was that 3? Okay.
That's what I.
So
did.
question number 3, I'm looking at, I gave him a 5, mainly
4.
because,
I did 4.
yeah, they had no, I mean, he was honest in that he told you right out. I don't
Yes.
have any experience.
Yes, that is
I
true.
agree.
So I gave him a 3 because I would expect someone coming to at least basically know what the open meeting law was.
Or know that there is open meeting.
Yeah,
law,
there
right?
is such a.
This, or what does it mean to do this?
Well, this indicates you have the capacity to do a little.
Research.
Yeah, he should
Yeah,
have.
and he did.
So
And he
that's
did.
why I did the 3.
Yeah, I gave him a 0, but I.
That's what, and that's what kind of struck me odd is that you got a resume like you have and you're saying no to the number of questions that you're saying no to, like you have no knowledge.
Right, you have no knowledge, exactly.
You should. Okay, number 4, what's your experience been budgeting finance for special taxing districts? Well, he was involved in major corporations. For that, I gave him a high score of 8. And I know that's way too high, but
I'm happy. I did.
he did
I
well.
did 5.
I did 5.
All right.
I did 5 because of his relative experience. It would not be a heavy lift for him to be proficient, but
Again.
Okay.
I do Arizona Fire Districts.
Yeah.
My statute.
The 5th, question number 5, as far as fire, life safety, emergency medical services, I gave him a 5 again. He had little to no knowledge, but he was honest about it. He gave us, he's a quick learner, and he knows how to work with. So he's politically active. He knows what's going on.
How's that again? Yeah.
Or can I give him a 5?
I gave him a 3.
I gave him a 2, so I'll go up to.
Okay, how about you?
5.
5, okay. All right. Question number 6, labor issues within the district, totally unfamiliar. But has worked with unions and non-unions, issues that he mentioned, but I gave him a 6. 4.
3.
Okay, no, not this one down. Just took 5 just because he walked into the work.
I mean, I'll go to a 4.
Okay. Willingness to commit additional time and participate, willingness to participate, again, 5. You seem like he's willing to do that. Okay. Was there anything that, in that with the 4 that caused you to give him that 4 rather than 5, just for curiosity?
Just again, no conceptual understanding what a little extra means.
And also, he basically just said what Chief said. I try to do the best of what I can do,
Right.
and I'm willing to put out extra effort. That's what I got out of that question, or answer.
Number 8, dealing with the local media or a community member with a issue that wants an answer. He has a lot of experience with media, he's stated, and that he would discuss with the board. Pretty much the right answer, but he could have elaborated a little more,
Well, that's why I gave him a 4, is because with his extensive media experience.
And tell me.
Because our, as a fire district and a governing body, our media interaction is no different than a corporate setting in most ways. And like with his vast experience dealing with the media and suing the world leader,
Yes.
like there's political savvy that could have been displayed with his answer.
And I did like, though, this was the first time that he said he was playing team. We'll discuss it with the board and we'll give a response. That was the first time he said anything about we
team.
team.
I will say that his high level of experience is actually was from me a point of discomfort. Because if you're that comfortable with the media, then your instinct is not to defer, not to step aside, but to answer.
And it has that.
Yeah, that charisma that would do that.
That I can answer this the right way, And that, I'll state that on number 9, what he said there.
Yeah. Well, which leads us to number 9, which is the governing board consists of 5 members. What do you perceive as the decision-making process and your group consensus skills? And he said he understands it, can work towards, a consensus. He's good at that.
Creativity.
Yeah. And so,
He said something there that and it's like kind of what you spoke to earlier, a couple questions back. I'm very good at getting people to reach a solution.
Mhm. I picked up on that.
I don't know about the way he presented it or what. I don't know what you mean.
persuasiveness.
Yeah, like, I don't know if that means.
You could look at that 2 ways.
Yeah, that's
Well,
why,
that's what I'm
Either
gonna-
he does or he gets you to do it.
that's why
Well,
I
that's,
put 2
and
for
the
that.
way it presented it, just to me, it's like, it caught my ear. It was like, what does that mean? You're good at getting people to reach a solution. Does that mean
That's why I only put two
I'm
there.
willing to work towards a solution, and I'm good at being a part of the team, or I'm good at just making you
Right,
see what I
succumb,
see.
succumb.
Yeah.
So I gave that one a 6, and I knocked it down from where it was, but it ended up at a 6, and I don't know.
I
what you
think it was a
guys
6
4.
originally too.
Five.
Five.
5-4.
Yeah.
Okay, gave him 2.
Yeah, because the way he worded everything.
Okay, well, so between, I think mine was a high at 6,
Yeah, that's 6.
and you had 6, and then yours is 2.
Okay, I'm coming up to
I'll
4.
come down more.
I'll go to 4.
Okay. All right, and then the last one, that basically was no conflicts of interest, was just a 5.
That's a 5, yeah.
All right, so I've got some adjustment to do, bear with me. Those who are firm, and we
It's two.
Yeah, I'm happy with the 51. Probably have the rest of the group.
I'm still low. I came up from 25 to 37.
That's what it is.
It is.
Yeah, okay, that's, we came up with, we closed that gap a little bit.
Some interviews that
You guys
just
are
aren't
40,
resonant, you know what I mean?
42, 46, 51. You were- All right. Is that everybody? Okay. What Kim is going to do is she's going to add up bonuses and average them out between the 6 for a final average number and do that against the others. I'll do that with the others and then rank them accordingly. And you want to do that tonight, or are you already done?
It's already done. I've been waiting on you.
You know, but Kim was doing that.
Keep
telling myself, right? But, hey, you know what? This is a pretty doggone good interview process, the way we did it. It worked out pretty good. I want to thank you guys for being part of it and going along with it. And there's always more than one way to skin a cat, but we pulled together on this one. I also want to thank Kimberly for putting this all together and whatever other staff worked on it. I know she worked on it.
Kim the Bull.
She was
So the intent is to, she will tabulate and then you will go into a closed session at the board meeting to,
Well, I'm going to have to notify the applicants, let them know that, who we selected.
you're gonna do that prior to the meeting?
I think you should. What do you think?
So-
Right now, she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean,
We
give me a
can
second
know
here.
that,
I have to keep
well,
checking all
because
your
this is an
mail.
open meeting, official open meeting, we can actually make a motion right now to select that person as the winner. I don't know who it's going to
Can,
be yet.
because it's not on the agenda.
Oh,
Oh, did we put, gifts on the agenda?
It
Is it
says,
action discussion?
I don't know. I couldn't
Selection?
bring up the agenda.
it says, where's the copy of it?
Put it away for
It says,
Okay, so I don't have.
Yeah, me
So it came up fine for you, the agenda.
Pardon me?
The agenda came up fine for you. It would not download.
We found it. Yeah, we found the agenda.
Yeah,
Discussion, possible action. So we can make a motion on that, so we find out who it is.
Good.
But we find out who the top runner is first.
Yeah.
But I think all the contestants, like Ed, I think you talked about, was that regardless of who it is for this vacancy today, there's 2 others we got to look at. And for labor's point of view, you've got a pretty good insight of who the top runners are. Well, sure, you don't want to remain.
It was good perspective for me.
I think that's what Dave was looking for. This is that involvement that he's looking for.
and I want to make sure that whatever motion is made, it's framed in such a way that it is clear that while we had a collective interview process involving myself and labor, that statutorily the ultimate decision on filling the vacancy is the board's purview, and that we are not involved
while we had the opportunity to weigh in, our thoughts that this is ultimately the fire board's decision on who you are selecting to fill the vacancy. on the board.
What you just said, I'll make the motion, it'll be seconded perhaps, and then is there any further discussion? State what you just stated,
Okay.
and then we'll go into the vote.
And just for a point of clarity, if anybody from the public is listening to the minutes, they understand that this is on a collective energy that we're following statute.
You're just giving some input. But I can understand where you're coming from. Like you said, we are essentially your
Well,
boss.
Well, and you're my boss, and I just think you're elected for a reason, and you make sound decisions for the benefit of our community, and this is well within your purview, and it shouldn't involve us with it. Because essentially, if we don't outline that, then the potential exists that the vote just gets, so.
People assume that, well, he is second, third cousin who just can't get in here.
It's going to put us in a little bit better position, especially from the district's point of view on who's out there. And you never know what, maybe the candidates would, okay, I get it, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm out of here. You know, you didn't pick me, I'm done. Okay. You know,
That's okay too.
that's what they do.
Well, so it has to be.
Oh, glasses.
Yeah, it's things that are.
There, there are.
I should.
I shouldn't scoff. Okay. Candidate with the lowest score. Are we recording? What's that?
Do you have to just say who?
Yeah, you can say
I'll just say
the
the
top
the top.
candidate is.
Okay, the top
You can make a
candidate here,
motion.
according to the scores, is the score of 79.8 is Corey Cooperman. And if the group is in agreement with her receiving the nod from the board, then I'll make that motion to make that vote. Now, if this was executive session, I couldn't say what I just said. I just had to get a feel for what we've got. Go down there, make the motion. And then if the second, then I said the right name. If I didn't get a second, okay, that motion will die on the floor. and I'll pick it up. But, so with that said, Corey Cooperman did finish ahead in the overall scoring with 79.8. With that said, I'll go ahead and move to appoint nominee.
Motion to appoint.
Motion to appoint Corey Cooperman to fill the vacancy on the board for the remainder of the term that we're appointing her to. Okay. Do I have a second on that? Second. Do we have any further discussion?
I want to make clear that while a labor representative and myself, the fire chief, were involved in the interview process, the ultimate decision lies in the hands of the elected governing board, and that vote will stand.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion on that? Okay, then the vote is before us. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Corey Cooperman is selected as the new board member on the Sedona Fire Board, filling the remainder of this term. Thank you all. And this meeting, I'll go ahead and make the phone calls to all four of them and let them know. And thank you for your cooperation and your participation. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Everybody worked with you was very nice.
Okay, you got it.